If you're new to bag making, free patterns can be a great way to get started and test out different designs. Even if you're more experienced in making bags and want to try out new designers, free patterns are a great way to do that and see if you like that designer's style of writing and how they put their bags together. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my favourite free bag making patterns. Hi, my name's Deb and I make videos on all things bag making. I also run a bag making supply business here in the northeast of England. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to share with you some of my favourite bag patterns that are free. So when I first got into bag making, I did use a lot of free patterns. Obviously it was a way of seeing whether I actually liked making bags without spending a lot of money up front before I realised that I was going to become totally obsessed with it. I still use free patterns quite a bit. If I'm going to be using a different designer that I've never used before, I will use a free pattern of theirs first before I invest in a paid pattern, because then I'll know whether I like their style and whether I like how their bags go together, or whether I find their patterns easy to read. So I just think free patterns are just such a useful resource for any sewing, but in particularly bag making. So I'm going to go over to my other screen and I'm going to show you the different patterns via the designer's website, and I will put the links to everything down in the description box as well. So the first pattern designer that I'm going to talk through is Swoon, and I've actually used quite a few of their bag patterns, both paid and free, but there's 4 patterns that Swoon have that are free that I absolutely love. So I am going to start with the Ethel Tote. Now this was one of the very first bags I ever made. I really like this bag because it needs minimal hardware. It doesn't take up a lot of fabric, so you can use fat quarters. You don't have to go out and buy a lot of things in order to make this bag. And it's just so cute. I would suggest if you're making this bag for the first time, to use cotton, but it can be made with soft vinyls, corks, canvases, that sort of thing. But I would stick to cotton if you're very first getting into bag making, and that would apply pretty much with a lot of bags. In all fairness, stick to cotton. Use interfacing. Woven interfacing is the best, and then try out different fabrics as you get more experienced. So this bag here, it'll give you lots of different techniques. So you'll be putting in a gusset, which looks difficult, but it's really not. And it does talk you through step by step. There's lots of videos online as well for this pattern. Next up, we have the Heidi fold over clutch wristlet. You can make this with a wristlet or without a wristlet and have it just as a clutch. It comes in 2 different sizes as well. So there's a larger size and a smaller size, so you can choose between the 2. It has this lovely accent piece, which you can experiment a little bit with some faux leather or some cork like there is in this picture here. You can see there's some more sort of examples here as well. It's going to teach you joining 2 pieces together on the curve, and it's also going to teach you putting in this zip on a curve. And again, it looks a little bit daunting, but it isn't. This pattern comes together really well. I've made this one several times. Again, I made this one quite early on in my sewing journey, and did find the techniques I learned with this one have sort of gone over into other bags that I've made as well. So when you go onto the website, there's lots of different pictures of bags other people have made, so you can have a look at the different combinations and see whether you get any inspiration. And then we have the Mabel. This is a vintage style handbag. It is absolutely beautiful. It's quite structured, but it's only little, so you don't need again, a lot of materials. It doesn't use a ton of hardware, so you're not going to have to go out and buy a lot of things. You can use cotton, interfaced. When you get a little bit more experience, you can then go on to using vinyl with this bag as well. I would suggest using quite like a soft, on the thinner side vinyl. I wouldn't use like an upholstery type vinyl, or possibly even leather on this bag, unless the leather was quite thin. But there's, again, some different. I love this one. I just think it's so retro. It is fantastic. But yeah, you can go through and see all the other ones that people have made. Swoon do have a Facebook group as well, so you can go on there and see all the different Mabels that people have made over the years. So then on to my final choice with Swoon, and this is the Dolly Mini Crossbody bag. I would definitely do this one when you've got a couple of other bags under your belt, because there is quite a lot of pieces and it might seem a little bit daunting, but it is a really straightforward bag to go together. There's just quite a lot of pieces and quite a lot of steps, but as long as you take it slowly, again, lots of videos online of people who've made this bag, so by all means follow along with the tutorial or a sew along. You will, again, you're going to learn so many skills with this bag, creating this shape on this flap, installing these side connectors as well as inserting the gusset. But again, you can go through on the website and see different versions that people have made, and it's just, like I say, it's so cute. An absolutely fantastic bag for a kid, but I think, like, again, as an adult as well, I think this version here, this all black version, is so stylish. And if you don't like a big bag and you just need something small to put, you know, some cards and maybe car keys or something in, this is going to be the perfect size. I'm going to move on to bag stock. Now, I'm sure you've probably heard of bag stock designs. Again, these bags, I've made quite a few, both of the free patterns and of the paid patterns. And this Sunshine Crossbody, if anybody follows me online, will know I absolutely love this pattern. You know, I'm years into my bag making journey. I've been making bags for probably over a decade, and this is a bag that I go back to time and time again. It's such a cute size. It will give you techniques on installing this zipper, and will also give you the technique of applying these accent pieces when the pieces aren't straight. Again, lots of different tutorials online. I'm sure you'll be able to find one that you like. If you go onto YouTube and just type in Sunshine Crossbody, there'll be absolutely loads of them come up. But it is a really good bag to start your journey with. It's also got boxed corners. Trying to see if I can, there we go, find a picture there of the box corners. So that's another technique that you're going to use with this pattern, and that's a technique that you will use in so many other bags, that it's a really good one to start with. It does also come in a little wristlet style as well. Now this is rounded corners, so the principles of the pattern are pretty much the same. It's just smaller, and instead of the box corners, it's got rounded corners. So you're learning a slightly different technique with the wristlet, but obviously it's a slightly smaller bag if you don't want anything the size of the crossbody. But again, the crossbody isn't a massive size. You'll get finished measurements in the description, so you'll be able to see how big the bag will turn out once it's made. And you usually do get all of the things that you'll need to purchase. It'll usually tell you a skill level as well. So obviously when you're starting off making bags, you want to be looking for bags that are a skill level of a beginner. Obviously, once you've got quite a few under your belt and you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, there will be some patterns that are described as advanced beginners, adventurous beginners, confident beginners, and they're usually like a little level up to just a basic bag that is designed purely for people just starting their bag making sewing journey. So that's always something to look for. Back to this pattern here. I don't actually even know how to say this. I think it's Axia crossbody bag. I probably pronounced that totally incorrectly, and I do apologise. It's a great bag because, again, you're learning lots of techniques with it. It's not a great like sized bag. You don't need a lot of hardware for it. You know, a couple of D-rings, a slider. And this bag will teach you quite a few different techniques. So it will be inserting a purse lock. You'll also be creating this flap with this different shape to probably what you're used to. And again, also inserting a gusset to the front and back panel as well. So lots of different techniques that you'll learn to make in this bag that you'll take on to future bags when you make them. There's lots of different photos showing you different versions, how people have done it, whether they've used cotton or whether they've used leather, or whether this one looks like it's a mix of both. So cotton on the front and back, and then leather to make the flap and the gusset. So you can really mix it up and make it look so different. I love this one because it's just so bright, and I just love the colours. I think they go really, really well together. But there's so many different versions. This one's been quilted, so you can really sort of make it your own. I will just quickly show you the Pelican tote as well on Bagstock. Again, Bagstock are a pattern company that do have quite a few free bags. This one is made using darts in the bottom. Again, it's going to show you the finished measurements. It's going to tell you what you need for the bag. This one does say skill level beginner. So that is all of the Bagstock free patterns that I've gone through there as well. Again, I've made all of these bags during my sewing journey. They've all been great free patterns. So I would highly recommend Bagstock as a pattern designer. So next we're going to move on to Emmeline bags. So I'm going to highlight two patterns here. First one being the Miss Maggie. I love this bag. I think it's so classy. This version here is just gorgeous. I love this blue, and I just think it's really, like I said, just really classy. You will learn different techniques on installing the hardware, which is all in the pattern. So they talk you through using the long john, strap connectors, and also the diamond connectors as well. So that's a great pattern for learning to install strap connectors like this, because again, you'll be able to use that in so many other patterns as well. Even if the pattern doesn't call for it, if you want to change it up and use these type of connectors, you'll be able to use the skills that you've gotten making this bag and do it in future bags as well. Other than these strap connectors and a couple of rivets and magnetic snap, it doesn't need a lot of hardware. It talks you through the finished size. Obviously, when you go onto the pattern, it goes into all of the things that you'll need, such as amounts of fabric and that sort of thing, and what fabrics are suitable. So that's the first one, the Miss Maggie handbag. And then the second one is the Retreat bag. This is like a really big sort of toiletry wash bag. It does come in two different sizes. And in this pattern, you will learn to insert a frame. So you'll see when the bag's open, it's very structured. That isn't just a zip that's on the outside. It does have a frame inside of it to hold that shape. So in this pattern, you will learn that technique. It tells you the finished sizes of the two different bags once they're made up. There's some different tutorials as well. So if you want to add dividers and pockets into the bag, get that as well. You don't need to purchase it. You just click on it and it takes you to a blog post where somebody's added a divider in. This is a fab bag. I think it's a great bag to make as presents for people, you know, at Christmas or birthdays. You can fill it with some goodies, and it's a bit more unique than a lot of other wash bags and pouches out there. So those are the two patterns that I really like from Emmeline bags that are free. Obviously they have a couple of other patterns that you can try out too. So the next designer we're going to move on to is Mrs. H, and there's two patterns on Mrs. H's website that I do really like and have made up in the past. The first one is the sling bag. This again doesn't need a lot of hardware. It's very much a straightforward, simple pattern, and again there's lots of different pictures on the website showing you different versions that people have made. This is a more slouchy bag, so cottons, very lightweight upholstery fabrics is probably going to be the best for this. This one's actually been made in a fleece, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. Again, you have the full dimensions of the bag once it's made up, both in inches and in centimetres. This one does have that dart feature as well, similar to the Pelican tote. And then the second bag that I've made in the past, and I think is a really good bag to learn different techniques, is the swim and gym bag. I think this is a great bag because you're going to be learning or using sort of mesh fabrics, which is slightly different to other fabrics when you use them. And obviously installing rivets in the top to feed through the drawstring to close the bag. So there is quite a few different techniques in this pattern that you're going to learn. It's not a great in-depth bag. It doesn't take a long time to sew. It's absolutely perfect if you're going away on holiday or if you've got kids who are in swimming lessons. Again, dimensions in the bottom, so you know exactly what size the bag is going to be once it's made up. But again, you can have so much fun with different colour choices, different strap colours. It's a really fun bag to make. So the next pattern that I'm going to go through is Crafted by Leanne. I absolutely love Leanne's bags. I've made so many of them, and her free patterns are available inside her Facebook group. So she does have all of her paid patterns on an Etsy page, which I will put a link to in the description as well, and I'll put a link into this Facebook group. But all of her free patterns are within the files of this Facebook group, so you can find them all there. So the first of Leanne's patterns that I want to show you is the Harlequin pouch. Again, I absolutely love this. I've made this so many times. This again is a pattern that I go back to time and time again. It's great because it's a fantastic scrap buster. All of these pieces are cut out individually and then put together to create this fantastic shape. So if you've got lots of little pieces left over after making another bag, these are great for using up and making other projects with. Lots of techniques learned in this one, putting these pieces together on the diagonal and then matching them up in the center. It's all talked through in Leanne's instructions, and this is also a box bottom at the bottom as well. That's to create the base. So that is all thoroughly explained within the pattern. The Harlequin comes in so many different sizes. You have this regular pouch, you have a crossbody, you have a pencil case size, and these are all in Leanne's Facebook group. So I highly recommend joining her group, not only because it's a fantastic group, but there is so many resources in there as well. And this is the second of Leanne's patterns that I absolutely love, the crafted crossbody. There is so many different versions with this one. So you can have a version at the end here that is made in one piece with these accent pieces to create the strap connectors. You can have these ones in the center here that use two pieces to create the front and the back. You can obviously have lots of fun with that in putting different fabrics together. And again, it's another great way to use up smaller bits of fabric. And then there is this pieced version here where it's lots of different strips put together to create the front and back. This one here has the darts at the side to create the base, and it also has quite a unique way of inserting the strap connectors, because you then use this accent piece across the front to secure those strap connectors in place. I think it's quite a nice holiday crossbody bag for, you know, when you go out in the night time and you don't want to take loads with you, but you can just sling it on over your shoulder and you've got, you know, somewhere for your room card and bits and pieces if you're out and about on your holiday. So I think that's a fantastic bag for that. And the final one to show you of Leanne's patterns is the Harley. Again, you'll see it's sort of similar in design to a lot of her other bags, with these accented pieces and the diagonal of the flap. But I just love how that looks. I love how it uses like smaller pieces to create a larger bag. It's great for using up smaller pieces of fabric or little scraps that you have. When you first start making bags, sometimes, you know, you'll inherit bits and pieces that people give to you so that you can trial it out. So I find Leanne's, especially the free patterns, really great for using up smaller pieces of fabric. So you have your finished bag size there. This pattern is made with boxed corners on the bottom. It's all top stitched, so there's a lot of technique learning with top stitching and getting your top stitching absolutely perfect, and that these bags are really good for that. So that's the 3 bags of the Crafted by Leanne. Like I say, I will put a link to her Facebook page in the description box, and I will also put a link to her Etsy page as well, where her paid patterns are. So next up we have Sewn Ideas patterns. I've used quite a few of their patterns, and this one is a one that I really love to use. These little fabric bins, absolutely brilliant scrap busters. You find that with a lot of free patterns. They're quite often either smaller, or they'll use smaller pieces of fabric, so they're a great way of either using up scraps, or if you've got lots of fat quarters, it's fantastic for that. But I love these for keeping clips in, for keeping my pattern weights in, and you can make them in all sorts of funky colours and different designs. You can make them in sort of like, you know, like this quite classic looking fabrics, so they look really good on a bedside table or on a dressing table. So you can really kind of make these your own, and they come together so quick. It's all straight stitching, but it is a really good pattern to sort of like learn how the structure of things come together. So creating the base and top stitching this top bit here, it's all great techniques to learn. It does tell you the finished size at the bottom. There's full step-by-step instructions all the way through. So next up we have Spencer Ogg. Again, I'm a massive fan of Diane's patterns. I think they're really well written, and a lot of them, even the paid patterns, are great for beginners as well. So the first one that I want to show you is something a little bit different, and it's this really cute, funky owl iPad stand. It's different to, you know, your standard bag patterns, but you do learn so many different techniques with this. You've got all the applique, which again you can take forward and use in other bag patterns if you want to jazz up a front or a back panel and use some applique. This is a really good like learning curve to learn that process, and it's just so fun. I mean, who wouldn't want an owl iPad stand? I mean, totally. But there you can see it in action. So it's great for things like with Kindles, or, you know, for kids if they're sitting watching some cartoons or some YouTube on their iPad. It's a great way to keep it a little bit safer and secure than balancing it up against books or cardboard boxes. So yeah, so there's some other versions as you scroll through the page. They're all just so fun. Like, I defy you not to have that make you smile. So that's the first one of Diane's patterns. And then the other one that I wanted to show you is this Groovy case. Eyeglasses case is just, again, going back to being a great scrap buster. That was really difficult to say. But it's a fantastic present as well to give people. Use your talents to gift people things. These are a really good thing to start with. Even if somebody doesn't wear glasses, they've probably got sunglasses. It's a fantastic little gift to give people. You're obviously going to learn how to install magnetic snaps with this one. There's lots of different examples on the page, so you can see people's different versions that they've made, so you can get some inspiration. You can see here somebody's used their embroidery machine to put people's initials on. The same here. I love these ones where they've got the little sewing machine on them. I just think they're so cool. Who doesn't want a glasses case with a sewing machine on it? So they are the two from Spencer Ogg that I would highly recommend. Obviously there's lots of other patterns that are free on her site. So I'm going to move on to I Think So and the Martha Market bag. Don't try and say that too quick. it's just a brilliant bag for taking shopping. If you make it in sort of lighter weight materials, obviously interface it, but if it's not made in sort of really heavy canvases or leather, vinyl, sorry, if you make this in cottons, it folds down and then would go inside another bag, for taking with you when you go backwards and forwards to the shops. There's different versions on the website, so you can again get some inspiration. I love this one, it's so funky. And it is just a case of downloading that pattern. There is a sample as well, so if you want to have a look at the sample before you download the full pattern. Onto Needle and Anchor patterns. I've made so many of their patterns, both this free one and a lot of their paid patterns as well, and I really, really like them. I love this Atlantis pouch. It comes in 4 different sizes, and it's just such a unique shape, which is going to be such a great learning experience because you're putting together something that isn't square. It's going to give you some really, really good techniques. They're obviously great to attach to your keys, keeping your little trolley tokens in, or lip balms, anything that you want to carry with you. And I find having something like this attached to my keys makes it much easier to find my keys in the bottomless pit that is my bag. Having the smaller version of this attached to my keys just makes it so much easier to find. You'll learn how to make a wristlet with this pattern as well. So lots of different techniques to learn. And like this one says, it is very addictive. So once you've made a few, you'll want to make loads. Great scrap buster, like some of the other patterns that I've mentioned. So it's a great way of using up all those tiny little bits of fabric that if you're anything like me, you won't want to chuck out. So the 4 different sizes means that no matter what size the scraps are, you're probably going to be able to use them. So that is Needle and Anchor. And then moving on to Blue Colour. They do have quite a few free patterns, but the only one that I've made, so I'll talk you through, is the Clementist wristlet. This has been updated a few times, so even though this is a free pattern, when there's been any improvements to make, the designer has gone in and updated the pattern as well. But I like this one because it is a slightly different shape to a lot of the other pouches and wristlets that you see. It's got this lovely accent to it, and it's so pretty. You can make it in cotton and accent it with some vinyl. You can make it in cork. There's so many different sort of fabrics that you can use with this one. Lots of different pictures on the website, so you can see different versions that's being made. And this one has a little slip pocket in it too, so you will actually learn how to install a slip pocket into the wristlet, which again is something that you'll be able to take forward in other bags. So if you want to add a slip pocket and the pattern doesn't have one written in the pattern, you'll be able to take the slip pocket from this pattern and put it into any bag that you make. So moving on to Chris W Designs and the Quick Stitch Easy Tote. I really like this one because I love how it's got this front pocket. It uses webbing for the straps, so if you're not keen on making straps or you don't feel very comfortable in making straps, this one actually uses webbing. And I just think it's such a classic, it's just a classic style, and you can really sort of make it your own. She does have a couple of other free patterns, a little wallet and another tote, but this Quick Stitch Easy Tote is the only one that I have actually made. That's of the free patterns of Chris W Designs. I have got a few of her other patterns, and I've also got her pocket supplements, which are fantastic and worth checking out. That is the free pattern from Chris W Designs. So next we move on to RLR Creations. The pattern that I've made from these before that is free is a Sunday My Way bag, and it's this really cute like bowling bag shape. It is, I would say, more of an adventurous beginner, but it isn't a difficult pattern to make at all. But there is just quite a few pieces to it, so I maybe wouldn't make this as your first bag, but definitely possibly your second. Some of the other designs, I love this lion one and the accents to it. It's just so fun. And this one has been made and the handles haven't actually been attached. It looks like it's been made in like a faux leather and made sort of into a toiletry bag, which I just think is so clever. My favourite one is this one here, this denim bag, this like patchwork. I just think it's fantastic, and it looks like they've used the back of the denim to accent these straps, which I just think is genius. That is RLR Creations. So moving on to Hold It Right There. Hold It Right There do have quite a few free patterns. This one I think is so useful. So it's a cord keeper. So obviously it's really small, great for using up little scraps of fabric that you have left over from other bags. And who doesn't have a drawer full of wires that are all tangled up that drive you insane? So how handy are these that you can wrap them around and you can keep the cords neat and tidy. Great for when you're traveling too, because you know you put your cord or your headphones, what have you, in your bag, and before you know it, it's just a complete mess inside. So there's lots of different versions on the site, so you can have a look. Some people have made them in vinyl. Lots of people have made them in cottons with some denim. Again, lots of different inspiration pictures there if you want to have a go at that one. And then we move on to Toby Stylix. I think that's how you pronounce it. And the Alexia zipper pouch. This is a fantastic pattern for learning quilting. So if you haven't done any quilting before, you're totally new to it, this bag does include quilting in it. It's just a little small bag, so it doesn't take up a lot of fabric, it doesn't take up much hardware at all. And I'm pretty sure that once you've made one of these, you will be making lots of them. You can make it obviously without the quilting. This one here has a butterfly on it, and then these sort of accent stitching on the side. So again, you can make it with or without the quilting, but it's a fantastic way to learn a new technique. There's so many different versions on it, so you can make it where it's a bow. It's just really quite different. That one is free. You can get it on the website, or you can also join the bag pattern group as well, and it's free in there. It's always a good idea if you are on Facebook to join any of the groups of pattern designers that you're trying out, because if you need any help and advice, you can go into the group, you can ask, and not only will a pattern designer usually answer you, but there's always loads of people who've made these patterns in the past who will give you help and advice and steer you in the right direction. And then the next pattern designer to show you is Studio 77. Emma has loads of free patterns on her website. You can obviously scroll down and see them all, but there's lots of different free patterns. I am just going to highlight the shark pencil case. I mean, how cute is that? And if you've got kids in your life in any way, shape or form, they're going to love that. My youngest is 20 and she'd love a shark pencil case. There's a full tutorial on Emma's YouTube site. So although it might look quite daunting to make, it isn't. It's quite straightforward. The most difficult part is inserting this zipper on the curve, getting it right. If you follow Emma's instructions on her YouTube video, she'll talk you through it. The pattern is on her website. You just need to click there to purchase it, and it tells you everything that you're going to need to make the shark pencil case. So do check out Emma's site for lots of free different patterns, not just bag patterns. There's cuddly toys as well, so there's lots of different ones to choose from there. And then the final one to show you is by Also Petite, and this is the lunch bag pattern. And I've included this one because I have made it, but I just think again it's a little bit unique if you take your lunch to and from work, or if like me you're trying to not eat things so much outside and go for food and what have you, and you need to take food with you. This is a great size bag to put a little sandwich box in and some crisps and a yogurt, and it's a perfect size. It's not too bulky, it's really easy to carry, and it comes together really easily. It doesn't need loads of different hardware, so you're probably likely to have everything that you need stashed away in amongst your fabric. There's a few different ones to show on her site so you can get some information, and I'm pretty sure that she does have a Facebook group as well. And just one final resource to show you, which I will have linked in the description box, is So Can She. There is a whole host of free sewing patterns on here. So there's lots of different blogs on here of different patterns, different types of patterns. There's just pages and pages and pages. So if I haven't gone over something today that you'd want to see, you will most likely find it somewhere on this page, but there is quite a lot, so you might have to scroll through for quite a while to find what you're looking for. So definitely check that one out. So I hope you found my introduction to free bag patterns helpful. Please feel free to leave a comment down below if there's other bag patterns that you've come across that you really love and you'd want to share with other people. I'm sure everybody would love to see that. If you've enjoyed the video, please do consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel for future videos. Good luck with whichever pattern you decide to make, and I'd love to see it, so feel free to reach out to me either through my Facebook page or the Facebook group and share what you've been making, all the details of which are in the description box down below. Until next time, have a lovely day. Bye.